Hey guys, guess who it is? It's me all by myself. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And I am calling this the Wait What podcast. Now, let me preface this by saying this is not going to be your traditional podcast. This may not even be a weekly series. I may do like one or two a month, depending on how things go. So what's happening is, let me tell you the reason behind this. I'm turning 40 this year. It is January 2026 at the time of me recording, and I just wanted to start something to pretty much document my year to 40. I will be 40 in November, and I wanted to do this for myself. So if only one person watches and gets enjoyment out of it, I will be happy with that. Someone else other than my husband, he's obligated to watch at least the first episode. So, yeah, that is the intent of the show. I will explain where Wait What came from. If you see most of my social media, if not all of my social media, my Instagram and my TikTok, um, I have the phrase in the description saying, "Wait, what?" So, where that derives from is my brother passed away in October of 2016. And my initial reaction to that was, "Wait, what?" So, I'm going to take that and spin it. And I want to have fun yet thoughtful conversations about things in life that make you go, wait, what? So that's what we're doing here. So welcome, 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 welcome. I appreciate you all for watching, if anyone is watching. And even if not, again, I am doing this for myself. This is self gratification that I'm doing it. And for this first episode, for this very first episode, I'm going to introduce myself. That'll be the discussion for this episode. And I guess I will start with, hi, I'm Ronald. If you didn't know, you may know me from a little show we do called The Conference Call, the official conference call. That is another YouTube channel that I'm a part of. I joined my husband Christopher and our friend TJ as we do recap shows of RuPaul's Drag Race and Project Runway. Project Runway was phenomenal for us this past year. We had contestants from the show, we had one of the models from the show, and it was really fun. But this is something I wanted to do for myself. I wanted to put out something that was in my voice, from my point of view, my narrative. And I got told a lot, you should do this. So here's my chance at doing it. So again, yes, my name is Ronald. And yes, my name is Ronald. I introduced myself as Ronald. If you do not know me, please do not call me Ron or anything else without my permission. And the reason why that is, a lot of people see me spaz on social media when I go to a place like Starbucks or something and they call out your name and they say Ron. If I tell you my name is Ronald, I appreciate being called Ronald. And it took me a while to take pride in my name. When I was younger, I got the typical trope of old Ronald McDonald, and I didn't like being teased in that way. So I hated my name for the longest time. Sorry, mom and dad. I don't know if I've ever told y'all that, but I hated my name for the longest time. But I got to the point in my adulthood where I finally was like, you know what? My name is Ronald. I'm going to take pride in that. And so when I introduce myself as Ronald, I expect to be called that. And I said my name like 50 times just there. So if you want to play a little drinking game and take a shot every time I say my name, there you go. Just something interactive for you guys to do. But yeah, so more about me. I am the youngest of five. Let me also preface this by saying I'm going to try my best to be as vulnerable as possible. But yes, I am the youngest of five. I was born and raised in Delaware. I was born in Newark, Delaware at Christiana Hospital on November 12th at 9:47 p.m. Very specific, I know. I like long walks on the park, long walks in the park. But anyway, no. But yeah, I am the youngest of five. I am one of four boys, and I have one sister. And being the youngest came with its benefits, but it also came with its, downfalls and I don't want to say tribulations or anything, because everybody goes through things in life, and you don't want to necessarily label it as tribulations, but everybody goes through things. But being the youngest and also being a little different, we'll get there. Being a little different, it came with its downfalls. Um, for most of you who know me, and even if you don't know this side of me, yes, I am a gay black man. I knew from very early that I was quote unquote different. I used to get called Mr. Serious by my family, especially like my mom and stuff would say it. And it's only because I felt as though when they would tease me, I wouldn't jump in on it because like I would harbor things just a little bit differently because I felt like they could see something in me that I wasn't ready to accept or didn't even know I had to accept. You know, when you come up in life and you feel a little different, a little out of place, every little joke or jab at you, it stings a little harder. And then also what my family didn't know was I was being bullied at school. I was being called gay before I knew what gay was. I was being called, you know, the little church boy, the little nice guy, and people would take advantage of me being the nice guy. And it didn't really take me too far with people. I had people around me where I would go to school and be like, oh, they're my friend, but they weren't really my friends. Cause I remember specifically in my junior high years being picked on by the people I was aligning myself with. I remember one thing in particular. I remember going to school and I had on a pair of my sister's jeans. It was not anything for me to wear my siblings' clothes because again, I was the youngest, I was the smallest, hence why also I got the nickname Shorty when I was a kid. But I was the smallest, so I was always wearing my siblings' clothes. I think I put on my sister's jeans, not really knowing they were hers, but I'm pretty sure I just found them somewhere and I put them on. And I remember they had a little flare. They were like bell bottoms pretty much. And I remember being in science and seeing the group of kids at the table uh staring and pointing at me, and I remember hearing, does he have on girl jeans or whatever? But then again, here I am in 7th grade and these are my so-called friends talking about me. So it was a lot to feel as though I was being picked on in school and then to come home, and even though my family didn't mean any harm as far as like poking fun or trying to have fun with me, they didn't know the things that I was going through in school as well. So I didn't like feeling like I was being picked on. So yeah, I took myself a little too seriously at times. Um, and that's all learning lessons. But again, that was me dealing with something that I didn't know how to label at the time. I knew, um, I guess I can say I knew I was infatuated with other boys because back then, you know, you don't really know what attraction is either. I knew I was infatuated with other boys. I knew watching Power Rangers and things like that, I was more interested. I was drawn to the male characters in a way that a young boy should not have been drawn to them, if that makes sense. I would imagine them being my quote unquote boyfriend in my head. Um, and that's not, but even then, even still, I would not accept the fact that I was what other people were calling me for the longest. And that's a lot to deal with. And once I finally found the language for what it was. I remember because I grew up in church. A lot of people know that I grew up in church. I found myself for the longest trying to pray the gay away. That and I remember being 14. Being like, okay, God, I don't want to take this into being 16. And 16 would come and I would still feel the same way, if not even more so, being like, okay, God, I don't want to take this into being 21. And then, of course, by 17, I had my first willing experience. That's another story. Yes, I was sexually assaulted, um, but that is not. I don't want to focus on that because too many people equate that to the reason for me being who I am, and that is not the case at all. Um, so I don't want to harp on that because I don't want people to go, wait, what is that? Why he's, you know, who's what? No, that is not the case at all. But it shaped me. Those experiences kind of have shaped me to being the strong individual that I am today. But yeah, I grew up in church, so I just remember year after year trying to pray the gay away, and it never happened. It didn't happen. I didn't fully accept myself until if I'm being 100% honest, I didn't fully accept myself until I met my husband. And when he came along, I remember getting to the point in life where I was like, you know what, I can't hide this anymore. Because even up until the point that he came along, I was still heavily involved in church. I still was thinking that I was hiding that part of myself. And it was one of those things. It was like the people I went to church with, like they knew, and I've heard. I don't have concrete evidence, but I've heard, discussions were had about me in that situation, in that church situation. Um, but at the same time, it was one of those old military things: don't ask, don't tell type of situation. So they didn't ask, I didn't tell. Um, and there's other reasons why I took a step back from that too, but to get back to me, I when I met Chris, I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to hide who I am. I'm not going to hide who I'm with, because I would still keep that part of me separated from my church life. And I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going to be who I am. And so I took a step back from church. I still love my church family. I still talk to my pastor. I still call him my pastor. He's in my phone as Pastor Dad. His wife is still my mom. And, I love them. They love me. We've had conversations. And that's a whole other story for another day. I actually kind of want to save a bit of that for another episode, because I do want to bring people on. I do want to have, like I said, I want to have fun but thoughtful conversations, not only with you, me here face to face in the camera, but also with other people, and just get their perspectives on life and where they are. But again, yeah, so Chris and I have been together for, geez, it'll be 7 years. We've been together for 7 years this month, and then we will have been married for 6 years. So bling bling bling, which is his man. Yeah, so it wasn't until he came along that I really fully accepted every part of me. I realized too that I can be spiritual and still be a gay man, because I remember some time ago someone asked me, how do you feel about your salvation and being gay? And I told him then, I said, God has not left me for this long. And by that time, I think I was in my late 20s, maybe early in my 30s, where he asked, well, yeah, it would have been late 20s, but he did ask me, how do you feel about your salvation and me? And I said, God has not left me now, and he's not going to leave me. So who am I to think that he'll leave me when it's all said and done? If that makes sense. I don't put God in the box of religion. I realize that he is in and is everything, and that's how I walk through life. Um, so yeah, it was hard. It was a hard adjustment, because I still do miss, the community that I came from when it comes to church, but I don't miss the ridicule and the side eyes and the conversations of, people getting quiet when you come around. Like, I don't miss that, but I do miss being in fellowship. There is a feeling that you get being in that atmosphere. I still feel that is still very real to me. I will still have worship moments in my car where it's just me and God, and I'm singing a song and I'm crying, or in the shower, and I still have those moments. Even in the gym, there have been several times where I've been on a treadmill or on a machine, and tears, I'm fighting back tears because I'm listening to a certain song, and I'm just like, okay. So God still speaks, and he always will. And I make room for that in my life. It's a part of everything that I am. And it's always going to be a part of me. It's never going to go away. God is God, and God is who he is to me, and you can take that how you want. And I'm not going to harp on that for too long, because I don't want this to get too spiritual or too religious. Again, this is supposed to be light and everything, but you know where I stand on my beliefs. And again, that's a part of what makes me up. I take every moment that I can to just try to still encourage people. I did give a couple sermons, and I guess some people would call me Minister Clay, but I'm still Ronald. I am Ronald. And you have to take all parts of me to accept Ronald. And again, I said my name how many times there? It was like 5 times. So yeah, if you're playing a little drinking game, Go ahead and take a shot each time that I said my name. But yeah, that's me. There are a lot more layers of me. I don't want to beat a dead horse or anything, but I am fun. What you will get in this channel is I am very Wendy Williams coded, so like the how you doing and all of that. You will get those. I have a lot of like pop culture references that I may pull out. I may bust out in a song every now and then because I feel like sometimes I have ADD, and if I say a word or say a phrase, it'll remind me of the song and I'll bust out in a song. I think that I don't think it annoys my husband. I think he gets a he gets a kick out of it, which is funny. Um, and let me say that I've said my husband, and I've clarified, I guess, my sexuality. But this is not a gay podcast. This is an everybody podcast. Like I said, I want to have real conversations with real people. And if you guys have a topic that you would like to talk about, or like me to talk about, or if you even want to come on, feel free to do so. Just send me an email. I will put my business email the in the description where you can find all of my information. I do have a business email. I was doing wedding singing for a little bit a couple years ago, so I would give people that email address when they wanted to contact me. So that is the first part of this little podcast, just to let you know this is going to be like a show, and I'm going to break it up into segments. And the next segment that I would love to get into is called Girl, what's going on? So that segment, what I will do is I will just break down what's happening in the world. I will take a trending topic and I will give my opinion on it and say like what's going on in the world. And again, even with this, if you guys have a topic, a trending topic that's happening, like if you see on TikTok or Instagram or anywhere that you guys want me to talk about in this segment, I will be happy to do so. But yeah, this girl was going on segment. I wanted to talk about what's trending right now all over social media. As we know, the Critics' Choice Awards just passed this past weekend, and the scuttlebutt is the fact that Timothy Chalamet beat out Michael B. Jordan for Best Actor. And the question is, what do Black actors and actors of color have to do to get the recognition that they deserve? Now, this is not me taking anything away from Timothy Chalamet. I actually did not see Marty Supreme, so I have no reference to that movie. Excuse me. But I will say Sinners was an amazing movie. It's still an amazing movie, I should say. Sinners is an amazing movie. It did crazy numbers at the box office, and it got labeled a Black movie. And a lot of people are talking about is how Variety magazine, their headline with Sinners, the headline read, Sinners has amassed $61 million in its global debut. It's a great result for an original R-rated horror film. Yet the Warner Brothers release has a $90 million tag price before global marketing expenses. So profitability remains a ways away. So people are, first of all, that was an issue because why are you trying to undercut the success that it had in its opening weekend and opening weekends by still saying, oh, yeah, it did big numbers, but it's not being profitable? Mind you, with a $90 million budget, Sinners made $366 million globally. That's nothing to sneeze at. And do you think they made a correction, Variety? Do you think they made a correction about it? No. Whereas Timothy Chalamet's Marty Supreme, it came out during Christmas, only opened with $6.73 million domestically. It is compared to Sinners. I mean, come on now. And again, I can't say anything to Timothy Chalamet's performance in that movie because I did not see it. And he's actually he's a good actor. I remember we watched the new, I guess, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or is it Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? Either way, he played Willy Wonka, and he was really good in that movie. I enjoyed him in that movie. I don't have many other references for him. I'm pretty sure I've seen him in other things, but that's the only like thing I can think about with him. But yeah, they Variety instead of, harping on the fact that it only made $6.73 million, they decided to dub Timothy Chalamet the King of Christmas, because apparently, it did really well in the UK. And then also, this is, I think, the third year in a row Timothy Chalamet has come out with a movie around the holidays. And typically, when movies come out around the holidays, they are garnering for Oscars. That is typically the Oscar release between Thanksgiving and Christmas. That is when those movies typically come out to get Oscar buzz. Um, but yeah, why? What, what's the standard? Is the question, and that's the question that a lot of people are asking. Because even though Sinners did well in the box office, the $366 million, nothing to seize these at. Um, Variety had nothing to say about the measly, and I say measly lightly, $6.73 million that Marty Supreme did. I didn't even know this movie existed, to be honest, until all of this stuff came out and Timothy won the award for it. But Chelsea Handler, she hosted the Critics' Choice Awards, apparently. She called Variety out, just basically saying, I guess box office numbers don't matter or something she said to that effect. But like, when you have other people in the community who are calling you out on your BS, like, when does it stop? When do creators of color get their recognition? And that even goes far beyond just the movies. Like, I'll get back to a couple points with that too, but that even goes far beyond the movies. We have to be twice as talented to get half of the recognition that our Caucasian color parts get. Which, when is that going to end? When is that going to stop being the narrative? And no, I don't necessarily want to talk about race on this series, but race is a big part of why the world is the way that it is now. Everything is cut with racial undertones. Like, even getting back to the movies, there have only been two actresses of color to win Best Actress at the Oscars. That is Halle Berry and that is Michelle Yeoh. Halle Berry won for Monster, or no, not Monster. Yeah, Monsters Ball, and then Michelle Yeoh won for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I will say, eh, that movie was weird. That movie was weird. But that same year, Jamie Lee Curtis was also nominated for Best Supporting Actress, along with Angela Bassett for Wakanda Forever. And everybody and their mama knew that Angela Bassett deserved the award for that movie. And the crazy thing is, the Oscars, that the Academy, they love giving the black actress the Best Supporting Actor award, right? But why can't they get to that pinnacle of Best Actress? What is it? And the bad thing is, like, even last year at the Oscars, Cynthia Erivo was up for Best Actress for Wicked. And again, everyone was saying this was Cynthia's year. This was Cynthia's year. And she should have won. Granted, I will admit that I am biased in that opinion. But yeah, she should have won, child. But Mickey Madison won for Honora, for a movie nobody even really heard of that movie, and I think she was just as surprised. But there have been articles to come out the surface that says, one of the Academy voters, he said he didn't vote for Cynthia because she was too old to play Elphaba. Was that really the reason? Because I can almost guarantee you, if Idina Menzel reprised her role in the movie as Elphaba, they would have given her that award. It is what it is. But then, even going back to the Jamie Lee Curtis of it all, Jamie Lee Curtis was horrible in that movie. She did not deserve the Oscar. If anybody was going to win it outside of Angela Bassett, it should have been Stephanie Hsu, who played in the same movie, Everywhere All at Once, with Jamie Lee Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis's performance in that movie was not Oscar worthy. Is Jamie Lee Curtis an Oscar worthy actress? Debatable. I mean, depending on what you see her in, you know, I'm not saying she's not, but for that year, for that movie, why couldn't that award have gone to a person of color? But again, I ask the question, what do people of color, what do creators of color have to do to be as, I'm not even saying better than, but to be even just as successful as our white counterparts? Even this, like, I may get a handful of people to watch this, but a person who is not the color of me could sit here doing the same exact thing that I'm doing, talking about the same exact things that I'm talking about, and it will go viral just like that, because the algorithm will push someone else who does not look like me. And now, granted, I'm not doing this to, get fame. As I said earlier, I'm doing this really for me. I want to kind of document and journal my journey to 40, and this is a part of it. But at the same time, I would like some engagement. I would like for people to see it. But what does it take for actors and other creators of color to be successful? What is it? And I'm not saying there are no creators that are of color who aren't successful. There are plenty of them. Yes, we know that. But we are a small sliver compared to our white counterparts. Now, again, this is not a racial podcast. This is just a topic. This is the trending topic. Like I said, the Critics' Choice Awards were just this past weekend. And this is what everyone is talking about. Like, a lot of creators are saying, yeah, it is racist. Hollywood is racist. And that's been the story for many, many years. I did come across someone today, Torre. He has a podcast, and he was saying, no, it's not about race. It's about the type of movie that, the voters watch and see. And they have changed the rules. The voters are now supposed to watch every movie that is nominated. But they can watch those movies, but are they still watching on a bias? Because if you think about, Marty Supreme came out, 2 weeks ago, and Timothy Chalamet already won the Critics' Choice Award for it. So what is that going to say for the rest of the award season? Now, granted, I do pay attention to award seasons. Award season, the Golden Globes typically set the tone for the award season. So Critics' Choice Awards, it's a nice award. You're voted by the critics. And we all know most times fans do not agree with critics. So it'll be different once the Golden Globes start. We'll start to kind of get an idea of who's going to go on to win the quote unquote bigger awards, if that makes sense. So we'll see. But yeah, that is the trending topic for the week. My girl, what's going on segment? All right. And then for the next segment, I'm calling what was said or what you said. What you said. So what this segment is I will pull a post off of Reddit. Uh, People write in submissions asking, "Am I the asshole?" And I will give my honest opinion on whether or not these people are assholes. And then also, what I would like in the future is for people to write in, people to send me letters or just notes, just asking, for my unsolicited advice, honey, because I'll be full of it. Sometimes, I do have, sound advice at times. A lot of people do come to me for advice, and not that these Reddit people are asking for my advice, but I'm going to give my opinion anyway, because that's what we're here for. That's what you're here for. You want to hear from me. So you're going to hear my side of the story, my point of view, my narrative. So I will say this. I am reading this blind. I read the headline. So if the story is trash, this is only the first episode. They can only get better, right? So if the story is trash, pay it no mind. But I read the headline. We're going to come to a conclusion together. All right. So we're going to read it. This is, am I the asshole for ruining my daughter's birthday? Throw away because my daughter uses Reddit. Oh, Lord. All right. So I, 45 male, have 3 kids, 16 male, 14 male, and 12 female. This story concerns the 12-year-old female. Now, my daughter's birthday falls on New Year's Eve, so it tends to be disregarded, never on purpose, because it's between 2 big holidays, but we've always tried to make her feel special. My daughter is a known introvert and tends to spend a lot of time in her room. And if we're at a family event, she just sits in a corner on her phone. She also is very unconventional in the sense that she doesn't desire a lot of things that are typical of girls her age. Again, this girl is 12. Me and my wife and I, Me and my wife tried to fix this and get her to open up more, but to no avail. The issue arose because when me and my wife asked her how she wanted to spend her birthday, she said something along the lines of alone with snacks in my room. This request wasn't outlandish for her, but spending your birthday alone doesn't seem like a good way to spend your birthday. It would also reflect poorly on us as the family likes big celebrations. So instead, we invited family over on her birthday. For a birthday slash New Year's celebration. It was a barbecue with lots of snacks. I'm assuming these people live in, you know, the warm places. But anyway, with a barbecue and lots of snacks, a projector that my brother brought, and a rented bouncy castle, I thought she would realize that this was better and more productive way to spend her birthday, but I was wrong. She was miserable the whole time and just sat in the corner. When everyone left, when everyone left late at night, she started screaming at me and my wife about how we ruined her birthday. Girl, my wife did most of the scolding and she was sent to her room. How could we ruin her birthday if her plans were just bed rotting? She was also mad because she didn't get the gift she wanted, which was a hot chocolate machine. She's the only family member who drinks hot chocolate and she's not 50. We got her something else that we thought she would appreciate more. This morning, she ignored all of us, including my sons, who are on our side because they think she's being ungrateful since the party was great. I was just trying to make her birthday special. Am I the asshole? Sir, no, no, not at all. First of all, well, this girl is 12. And I don't know what this generation of kids are, but they're trash. They're absolute trash. I get what you and your wife were trying to do, and it sounds like it was fun. Now, granted, she did say she just wanted to spend the day in her room. So maybe you could have done something a little smaller. You could have still done all of the things, but kept it more intimate. Maybe not rent the bouncy house for your sons and your wife and her. Um, but you could still have done like a smaller celebration just with, the family. Tried to bring her out of the room. So in that sense, I can see why she would be a little upset because maybe she was just feeling overwhelmed by it all. Because even me as a kid, I was completely content with just playing with my toys in my room. I've never been. Once you get to know me, I'm an extrovert, but I've always kind of been introverted. So maybe she was feeling overwhelmed. See, now I'm trying to see it from her perspective. She may have just been feeling overwhelmed. There may be something more there than her just being introverted. Because if she blew a gasket, if she was that upset by you celebrating her, you might need to dig a little deeper into that. However, your intentions do not make you the asshole. Your intentions make you a father and a mother who was trying to make sure their 12-year-old daughter, did not just sit in her room being lonely and depressed on her birthday. So you tried to do a good thing. So no, you are not an asshole, but also try to see it from her perspective, I guess, because there are kids who get overstimulated, and a lot of the reason for that probably is because they have grown up on iPads and cell phones and computers and TV. They don't know how to be social. That's another reason why I say, these kids are trash, because they, millennials, y'all, have a conversation with me. We have failed at raising these children. Now, granted, I say that from a biased perspective because I do not have kids, and but I see enough of them to know that they're just weird. These kids are weird. They don't know how to be around people. They don't know how to socialize. So it is on us, or it is on parents, and there are a lot of millennial parents who need to do better with forcing your child to either go outside, to make friends, to get off of their devices. It sounds like she probably is one of those kids who is tethered to her device. And again, like I said, she just seems like maybe she got overwhelmed and she didn't know how to handle, she didn't know how to process. She is only 12. She is not a teenager yet. So again, I will say, no, you're not the asshole, but you kind of need to take a step back and process things from her point of view. Have a conversation with her. Don't just scold her like mom did. You said mom did most of the scolding, so that means you did a little bit too. But just take a step back and try to relate to her as opposed to just being upset that she comes off as ungrateful. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents, child. So what you said on Am I the Asshole? Those Reddit posts. Again, I will continue to do more of these until I get some not fan. I don't want to consider you guys fans. I don't want fans. I want friends and community. And hopefully that's what this generates. So that is my What You Said segment, and that is actually the podcast. Hopefully I didn't, keep you guys too long. Hopefully I kept you guys entertained. If you have any questions for me, feel free to send me a comment. You can either comment on this video, or you can send me a DM, or you can send me an email. Like I said, I will provide all of that information in the description. But I don't believe I'm about to say this for myself. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this with all of your friends. Like I said, I would love to build a community here. This is a safe space, not to take anything away, not to steal my husband's sayings, but this is a safe space for you to be authentically you. And life is too short to not be the 100% genuine version of yourself. So with that, I will leave you with saying this: love yourself, love others, and in the words of Tabitha Brown, now you going about your business. Have the most amazing day, and if you can't have it, even if you can't have a good one, don't you dare go mess it up anybody else's here. Let me not. I'm not gonna steal that. See, I told you I have a lot of pop culture references, but no, seriously, take care of yourself, take care of your mental, take care of your heart, take care of your spirit. Love you, and thank you for watching. Bye.